I don't want to take too much of the time, just introducing myself and everything, but I'm Pedro Hernandes. I've been working with marketing 10 years or more so far. And I was saying to Tom, I was always this inbound guy, inbound marketing. But then during the pandemic times, we saw this boom in communities, in new tools for community building. And I started to see that actually the future of marketing and for all brands, it is to have better communities. Even now, like it's so easier now than ever, and we have so many tools. And as I'm gonna show you guys, I was saying to Tom, why people think that automation is hard. It is not hard. I hope you guys leave this workshop or just webinar seeing that you can all do automations. And there's so much you can do with community and just make like product building easier, getting feedback, get engagement from your customer, your audience. And the best thing is that, as I always say to Tom, it's just fun. Like community, it is fun. Managing community is fun. Getting people together. So yeah, this is just a brief overview of everything.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pedro. And just brief show of hands for people on the call, either virtually or on screen. Who's tried automation before? Who's done something with automation using either Zapier, Integromat, whatever it might be? Okay, a few of us. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same, Captain. I'm a little bit as well. Cool. So I'm really looking forward to today, Pedro. I don't know if you want to start. Do you want to start off with your presentation? And then we can maybe come on to the Q&A afterwards. You're going to be demonstrating a few things for us anyway through the presentation. And then afterwards we can come on to the Q&A with specific things which we're working on or hoping to automate. How does that sound?
Sounds awesome.
Awesome. I think I need to give you host rights because I haven't done that yet because I'm a bad host. Give me just a sec.
While you set up everything, I just want to let everyone know that I'll be mostly showing with Zapier and Slack. I have a few other cases here, but like everything that the most cases we can do with Integromat, Circle, Discord, Memberful, whatever tool are you using, we probably can automate like the same templates for you as well. So don't worry, like, oh, I have other tool, I will not be able to do this. Feel free to send in the chat. We can do it live because I want this to be very interactive, as Tom mentioned. And I just gonna briefly go through all the possibilities, and then you can send me or say like, hey, try doing this for me then. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Love it. It's like a personal butler making our automation for us on the screen.
So let me go here. So I'm gonna present very quickly some cases, and I have the Zapier open here to show in details, but I just gonna go through and then you guys say me like, no, go back to this one, let's go in details. So here are some fun use cases that you can start with automation. I lost, yeah. So the basic is welcoming members with the DM. So whenever you got a new member, or depending on the tool that you're using, like if you use Circle, I'm gonna mention Circle a lot because I use for my community. You can do even different kind of automations, like for new free users, for new paid members. If you have this kind of payment, if you have a public and a private space in your community, you can create different kind of welcome. And you can even create a drip campaign. So let's say you have a new user, you send a welcome, and you can also send email. So in the community, you can just send a friendly DM, but by email, you can send, hey, welcome to our community. This space you're gonna use for that, this other space you're gonna use for that, find help here. If you need anything, reach out. And you can have this both to try to engage in the community, but for them to have that kind of onboarding saved for them to always go back if needed as well. And then you can delay the next action and send a message. Hey, how is it going? Like a week later, how is it going? What's your thoughts about the community? What's the best space or the best discussion that you've seen so far? And 30 days later, like you can create as many steps as you want here. I always recommend when you're trying to brainstorm, we can brainstorm together. Something that is a welcome on the first day, 7 days later, another nudge, and going on for this for 30 days. And depending on your type of your community, after 30 days, send a quick survey, or you start to get some insights on your onboarding, and then later 90 days for the whole community. So you can send an NPS, very quick and short, or a more detailed survey after 90 days or 6 days, whatever better fits your community. Something that it is fun to do, like get notified of specific words. I'm using Slack here. And you can say, like, oh, but Slack already have this. Discord already have this. Circle doesn't have, so you can use this better on Circle. But a fun way to use this is that when you're trying to build experts and leaders in your community, let's say if I have an expert in automation in my community, I can just set this trigger whenever somebody posts and have the word automation, then I can let that person know. Like I can trigger for myself, but also for that guy, hey, here's a new topic about automation. Do you want to join? Do you get share your insights? So it's a fun way for you to start to building those leaders and better engaging for specific discussions in your community. How to add members to specific channels? You can use this to, sorry, Tom, I forgot the title of this very webinar that we are doing, but it's like to free up your time. So if you post something in Slack or in Circle and somebody comments in a thread, you can use this like, hey guys, we are launching a new space. It's dedicated for automation. Do you want to be in? So just comment here, you'll be added. So for everybody that comments there, you don't need to go and add. You can specifically say, everybody that says I'm in, just auto join that channel. So it should free up a little bit of your time doing that. Auto broadcast a webinar. This is someone that mentioned that a lot of people want that. So I'm using, again, Zoom here, but whatever tool you're using for webinars, you can create a drip campaign based on that. So send a message in a specific channel in Slack, send an email about it, send a reminder, because as you can see here, whoops, going back, I have like, whenever somebody register for the webinar, then I can use something here to delay, and 50 minutes previously send a reminder, and then 15 minutes later, after the webinar is done, send an email asking for a survey for the NPS for the talks. So you can automate that, like the whole events planning, from sending, sharing with everyone, reminding them about the challenge, and also after the challenge for them to share their thoughts about it. Depending on the tool that you're using, this is just a quick tip as well. If you're using Circle as myself, you can create a type of event where I say here the title of the event contains office hours. So it will auto, like you can delay in the next week, create the same event. So you can save up your time because you can use the recurring events like webinar, office hours, many tools have that. So every Thursday at 5, just join here, but you miss that post feeling. Like, here, tomorrow we have office hours. So you can create just the first office hours, and then every week, Zapier is gonna create this post and this new event again for people to join. And then you can have both. Like, you can create recurring, but also post, let Zapier post again for people to get that fresh, it's a fresh new event feeling. If you're using any kind of tool for courses like Teachable, I add here Thinkific as well. You can, for every new enrollment, add the member to your community. So this is a quick tip. And also a great one that is kind of a bit advanced for Slack and Discord. So I'm just using Circle here as an example. We can do this in another webinar maybe, or I can just record a video. But whenever we have a new post in Circle, I can let Zapier count if that person that is posting have more than 10 posts, and then I can add a tag. Hey, you are a great contributor, so here's your tag. Or let's say for people that post more than 10 times in a specific space. Let's say we have a space for case studies, show and tell, share your wins, and then you can create different tags for different channels or different kinds of. Here I'm counting posts, but you can count likes, or if you're in Slack, if somebody had any emoji attached to the message. So you can award your best member, most liked members. You can create these auto awards. A great one as well is whenever a member joins and doesn't contribute to any discussion, or doesn't even, like, if you have an intro space, don't post there. You can, after a week, send just a nudge. Hey, it's been a week that you're at the community, you haven't posted anything yet. Can you share what were your goals with the community, if you're having any issues? So just to keep the engagement rolling. And this was the examples that I had. So I have here all the Zaps open, or we can create new ones, but do let me know which one you guys want to start with, or want to create a new one.
Awesome.
Or any questions, actually. Like, I was talking about automations with another person, and he just stopped. Hey, no, just go back where I insert my API key. So if you have like basic questions, let me know. We can do this from scratch.
Sure. I mean, let's start like that. Let's start from the stuff you've shown. I mean, I can see how so many of it would be really useful, especially, you know, the complex one you mentioned at the end with like tagging members based on like how much they've used it. That's crazy useful, and something I wasn't aware you could, you know, do quite easily with automation. But let me, you know, ask whoever's on the call, like, which of the ones you've just seen would you most like to dive into? Is there anything that stands out? And feel free to, yeah, unmute yourself, come on screen, or write in the chat, whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, let's just start with the welcomes a member with the DM. Then if you guys are using another tool, like the major of you are using Circle or whatever, I can change here the trigger, so let me know. But yeah, so let's deep dive here. I'm gonna use Slack. The trigger is a new user. You're gonna choose your account. And when you choose your account, it's gonna pop up a window, connect your account, just authorize Zapier. It's pretty quick to do, no worries. Zapier is gonna test, it's gonna get here. It's gonna show you a user, for example. And then you create an action that is on Slack, and the action send a DM. You're going to choose your account again, and you can see here the action. So the username, you're going to get this name here for Slack to find the actual username, the login. And here in the text, you're going to use the real name. So, hey there, real name, welcome to our community. And you can even, you see, you can add links. So if you're going to share something about, you can just include the link to this app, and I'll expand the link. So it's going to get a preview of the link. And then you can add the link here. It's going to show up for them. You can choose, some people prefer for this kind of onboarding automations, these constant engagements, like I mentioned, after a week. Some people prefer to send as a bot, or let them know here, hey, this is coming from a bot, but if you reply, it's gonna, the answer is gonna go to Pedro, and then you guys can chat. I prefer to live in my home because I don't use very like a message with a bunch of links or like a massive welcome. I just try to keep natural. So it is how myself was going to do manually. But then again, you can set up a bot for your community and just keep sending messages for people to know that it's not actual person sending, but if they reply, it's going to get to a person. And the person that you're going to reply to, you select here. If I go to manage connect accounts, you can add more than one person. So you say that you have one person to onboard new members, you can select her here, and then later, if somebody, other person that manage events, you select another account for this campaign to roll out. Just like continuing here, I'll set up the action. We're gonna test again. We're gonna get a message here. And then I'm gonna add another action. So again, here I'm using email by Zapier. I think like it's free. You don't need to worry about. But if you have MailChimp, you can connect Gmail, HubSpot, whatever you're using for emails, you can also connect here. If you don't have any of these, you don't need to worry about hiring. Just use email by Zapier. Then is send an email. And then again, choose the profile email, the subject, the real name, welcome to our community. And in the emails, the great thing is that if you have an email builder, or if you know how to create, like if you want to create an email with a bunch of links in Gmail or whatever, you can just copy and paste here. If the results, it is feeling funny, no worries, because it will read HTML when sending. But here you can feel that it's kind of broken, the word, just test it out, and you get the results that you build with the email setup. And then from name, you don't even need to be the account holder. You can select who is coming from, who is the reply to. You can CC somebody.
Just a quick question. Sorry to interrupt. Yep. Is there any, is Zapier's own email better or worse than like MailChimp or MailerLite or anything? Or is it more complicated to set up, or is it, is there not much of a difference there?
You don't need to I'm going to select here email by Zapier. You just choose, send an email, and then you create here. It's going to feel like a Gmail or Outlook email, just a basic email. If you want to go deeper, I recommend HubSpot because it's also free, and you can create great emails with that. But yeah, if you don't want anything fancy, just use Zapier's email. Should work fine. And what I mentioned about the dripping campaign, I'm gonna choose delay by Zapier, delay 4. I'll set up here, time delay 30 days. And you just leave it there because the next action after 30 days that you delay it for here, you're gonna send a DM, and then you can play around, like send a survey, you can send another email instead of a DM. But yeah, we can brainstorm something together, like this drip campaign. But let me know if I'm going too fast, because I tend to go too fast. But please do stop me at any point or ask me any automation.
Yeah, guys, I'll give you a chance to ask questions in just a second. I'm just wondering, how do you, because often when I'm using Zapier, I choose to like apps and I get them to link together. How do you start exactly what you've just done here? Like, where do you get started when you're creating a brand new Zap?
Sure. Let me go here from scratch. Create the Zap. We have our blank canvas. I'm going to choose circle. I'm going to choose new member active subscription, so a paying member. My accounts, which committed. It's always going to test, so you can get some examples to play on the next steps. Oh, sorry, I choose Gumroad, but Gumroad is a free community, but no worries, you can skip the test. And let's use circle again. And I can send a DM. Same account. Continue. Gumroad. User email, so committed member email. And here's the same community member name. Welcome. And then we have our DM enabled.
Amazing. All right, cool. Let's anybody on the call, is there any particular automations that you've liked the look of so far, or anything you'd like to ask Pedro about?
So I'm really curious if you can send, or if you have like almost like a best practice. So the actual setting up the automation, I think is, you know, there's lots of people that will show you that, but I haven't actually been able to find like, this is the best practice for the automation. Everyone's like, oh, you can do this or you can do that. I'm like, I get it. What is the recommendation? What works in different communities? Because you'll hear somebody say, I don't like to do this. And I'm like, why? Or don't do this. And I'm like, why? And so I'm just trying to understand what is best practice, because I know for myself, my community doesn't get consistent onboarding, and I'm really working to improve my onboarding. But again, I just don't know what is enough, what is too much. You know, you said something about, I don't send really long welcomes. And I'm thinking, ooh, that's an opportunity. So I'm wondering if, you know, is it better to send a short paragraph, the initial, if they respond, then you send something more. Like, there's a lot of logic programming before you actually set up the automation. And that's what I'm really looking for, are here are 15 pretty standard automations to get somebody to engage in the next 30 days, or here are 10, or, you know, but those, and I keep hearing people say, what is the tender spot in our onboarding process? That's also what I'm very curious about. What's, you know, is it within the first 5 minutes we want to onboard? Is it within the first day? Is it the first week? I'm just looking for best practices.
That's a question.
Thanks for the question, Megan. You mentioned like why I don't use bots, why I don't use big messages. Is because if we think about community, we want to like feel personal, we want to connect with people. And you can just think like whenever the feeling that we want in online communities is the same feeling that if you want to hang out in a coffee shop or talk to your friends. So whenever you meet somebody new, you don't say, hey, I'm Pedro, blah, 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 blah. Like, what is happening? Why is this like? I'll never get a response from them. So I'd much rather leave these short messages, and then 7 days later, another short message. It keeps going and going from a whole month. Because after a month, people are like, okay, that's enough. Like I had already. And the less, I recommend the less being the survey. Because if someone didn't make an action, engage in the community, by then you need to figure out why they didn't have. Like communities, like we have so many communities, so but most communities, people tend to start slow, start learning, kind of feel afraid of posting. We have some extroverts always join every discussions, but like most of the times people try to start slow. So start slow as well. So just a message here. And but a great onboarding, you should already give an overview for your members. So this is why I recommend you sending that by email. So they can save that email with many links, with all the channels, description, and on your actual tool that you use in Slack server, you can start this more personal conversation. Just, hey, I'm here, let me know what's your goal, feel free to reach out anytime. Like this is enough. Like think all these automated messages were sent by DM as a tweet. So leave it to 140 characters and it should be just fine. But if you want like something to start with, then start with onboarding. Just a DM, send an email, send a survey. If your community has the option, if enable that one that I mentioned after a week, just send them a nudge if they haven't posted anything yet. Just be sure to doesn't overlap with your onboarding, because so you can set up for like a 10 days or 5 days, because 1 week later after they join, they get that same message from onboarding. It can kind of, if you're already speaking to someone, it can kind of overlap, and they can get just a random reply for not ask the question.
I'll maybe it's got more questions about that, but I've got 2 follow-up questions related. Is it possible to have like conditional zaps, which like, you know, like for example, if somebody replies, this happens. If they don't reply, this happens. Is that possible in Zapier, or is that not a possible thing?
Depends on the tool you're using. There's Slack tone, I don't know.
Yeah, Slack is what I use a lot. Also Discord I'm playing with, but let's stick with Slack for now.
So yeah, as I mentioned, Slack and Discord is a little bit trickier to set it up. You have to use some advanced tools like Zapier here, formatting, and webhooks as well. I don't want, like, you can set on a web for advanced, but you can like search. Just let me get here an example. don't know if it's going to work for as an action, but I think so. Yeah, so find message. I'll have to set up a test so I can play this around, but you have to add the search query. Here's where it kind of get more advanced. But just as you search, select like from add somebody, you'll find that specific message, and you can add again a delay here. Let's say delay for 2 days. Then if nothing happens, I'm not going to create this nothing happens here, but again, I can record this later. Then a direct message. And you can specify here, like you can add a custom. So Norma, using Norma. And you can say this friend didn't get a reply. And I can get the, where is it, the link?
Okay, so it's pretty complicated then.
Yeah, so here's the permalink, and then you get like, for you don't miss, like you get all discussions that didn't have a reply. You get Pedro.
Cool, awesome, that's great, thanks.
It's a bit more advanced, so I just skipped the part where it take more time, like 15 minutes, because I have to explain search and everything else. But I will for sure create a video if we don't have anything more advanced and send it over to check.
That'd be super cool, thank you. Margaret said to leave, but she said that she would love to get more information about just like the welcome automation itself and nudges for onboarding. Would anybody else in the call right now, have you got any other suggestions or questions for Pedro about how you can use automation to your benefit? And feel free to jump on camera or write in the chat, whatever you'd prefer best.
Hey, Pedro. Thank you so much for doing this call. This has been very useful because I heard about Zapier a lot, but never really tried it at all. My communities are all on Facebook groups at the moment, and I noticed that I was just Googling, and it looks like Zapier does have some triggers and actions that it can post for Facebook groups, but I was curious if you personally had any experience using those.
I have to try, yeah, but you can try live. No worries. Let's see. If we don't have anything here, Facebook groups for the event. Yes, we don't have new members, but we have new posts. Let's see if I can specify. Close your eyes for a minute. Password. I'll make it show.
It's a good question. I've used Facebook a lot actually in the past, and never even considered that perhaps you could use Zapier to automate a few things.
Let's get CMX. I think I need to manage. Sorry, let me get another one. A group that I'm managing. Oh God, it's so long that I. Oh.
I just saw your question, Ashley. I'll come to your question in a second, actually. I'm not going to miss it. So thanks for asking that.
Connection. Let's see. And now it depends what you're trying to do. Like the triggers are only for new posts and events, and the actions are for to post a message. So in the feed of this post or a photo, doesn't give you too many options.
It's not particularly
But you
useful.
can try to brainstorm something.
Can you link Facebook? Can you link this to anything else, or does the action have to be within Facebook too? Could the post,
No.
for example, send you an email maybe so you don't miss it, or something like that?
You can send a messenger, like send message from a page. So if somebody, again, you can try to get creative with this. So whenever somebody posts in your group, you can send a message, hey, thanks for joining our, for posting our group. Welcome, let me know if you need anything. But you send as a page, not as a person there.
Okay.
Or you can create the same, a drip campaign. A new post that kind of triggers somebody joining. You can delay here. Delay for 7 days, and there you go. You can send any nudge that you want for them to go back and engage
Awesome.
in the group.
I can't remember who asked it, but does that answer your question?
Oh. Yeah, thank you. It's great to look at this. A little bit limited as is expected from Facebook, but useful to see. So thank you.
Just give me 1 more minute because I also use Integromat for some things that is not possible with Zapier. So just let me see Facebook triggers here. Groups. Yeah, way better. So here we have more options. Yeah, get post reactions. Triggers when a new post. So Zapier has all this, but here you have more actions or search. Like you can search. Oh, sorry. Change here. Comments. Or not that connection just now. You can filter and say, oops. Let me add whatever here. Then I can create a filter. Let's say member is Pedro. And I thought that it was possible. We are very limited as well. But yeah, do think about some ideas that you had, and I can try to replicate.
Thank you.
I've got one question from Ashley too. Ashley asks that they're looking for a new community platform. Have you found any that have a good automation built in natively so that Zapier isn't necessarily needed?
Being very transparent, no. Like most doesn't have everything that you need. It's very basic, but I do want to present you guys and Margaret. I know her from Burr community. So Burr is a new tool that they are building that is going to solve most of this. Let me see if they have, yeah, they don't even have the product here. So we have most of these automations running, but it's still in beta. And I also want to show you rather app, I believe. No, sorry, Trailer IO. I have to remember them. But like this, both tools will solve automations to make it even easier for Slack, Discord, Circle, because all of this doesn't have built-in automations natively. And we have these both tools in beta. They will probably launch this year in the next quarter or so. So everyone can kind of use and have this native automations already built in. I can show like what they are planning, but you have like so many templates, like 30 templates of automation that you just enable, and it's gonna even have the templates, the message templates as well.
Awesome. I came across one earlier. It might be, by the way, it might be Threado. Is that what you're thinking of? Threado is an app, I think, called Threado.
Yeah, Pedro.
And also the one I shared, dots.community, I saw that today and it looks quite promising too. I've actually inquired to find more information, but I think it's got everything from some really great insights and stats, but also to some automation and tasks too. So it looks also like it's trying to solve that problem of like not having to use a million things when you're building a community.
I was trying to figure out what it is just.com. I was thinking was on, but yeah. So Burn, Trello is gonna make community management way easier. Dots, thanks for sharing, Tom. I didn't use yet, but yeah. So just like this, where you can set up things easier. Don't leave messages without replies. But all of them, I believe, are in beta, so we have to wait. So then we can play around with automations.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Ashley? Was there anything specific you wanted to ask related to that?
No, that helps. I kind of thought that was the answer, but we have some demos lined up throughout the month. So just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything when we talk to them.
I mean, it shows that we're in an exciting time. Like there's so many people building, problem solving things which we are struggling with as community managers. So it shows it's a really exciting time. And who knows, 1 year from now, perhaps this will exist really well. Zapier won't be necessary as much for automating in the community.
So I use Circle because I like the way that you can manage content there. And Discord just announced yesterday that they are going to have a built-in content management as well for discussions. But Circle is the one that has more automation so far, but it's pretty basic. It's just onboard message, onboard email, weekly digest is a great one. Auto adding members to specific space, things like that. So very minimal automations, but at least have some comparing to others.
What would you say are your, so Margaret earlier mentioned about, recommendations. What are your favorite things to use? And like, what are the ones which you, you appreciate like the outcome as well? Like, you're like, oh, that's a really great thing and I've seen it work really well. What are some of your favorites?
My favorite one is the onboarding. Like it will help you so much creating this drip campaign. I just close it here, but welcome with the DM and then later getting a survey because you can keep them engaged and see what you're missing after 30 days. Another one, it is, where is it? Auto tagging. Just let me, yeah, tagging members based on their activity. And here in the filter, I can either use total posts. I can also use total likes counts. So hey, from 50 likes or 100 likes, I would tag this member. This is a great way for starting with gamification in your community. That I love gamification. And the auto broadcast as well. It's a great one. For every new thing that you create, you can send a DM, you can post a message, post in a specific channel, and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I forgot the email, I forgot to post in that channel. We just post based on whatever you're creating here.
That's really cool. For the tagging one, is that useful for kind of like almost like badges? Could somebody, is it like a badge in Circle where I'm like the top contributor or something like that? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you have those badges where you see on the profile, but I also did an automation for someone that has a community for NFTs. So they, after they kind of, instead of badges, they are sending emails with links for tokens. So you can gamify that, like base, oh, you're frequent contribute your post 10 times, 100 times, here a token for you. You can start playing around with that as well.
Nice. And what I love about the welcome series, John Bacon, who I spoke to last week, I saw him mention something a few weeks ago, which was like suggesting what that email series should look like. And I think it's perfect that you can do it like this. So for example, he says, I think, you know, as soon as possible, somebody should get a reply, an automated email, which kind of delivers kind of the value people were expecting. So they sign up to your community and they expect, I don't know what it is, like it's a place to learn about this particular thing. And so they join, and the email they get straight away should tell them that, and can give them the expectation they got as soon as possible. And you follow up a few days later with like maybe a little bit extra, like advanced knowledge, like they come for the expectation, they got it. Then they've got like this extra information a few days later. And then his tactic, which I really liked, which I found really useful myself, is a few days after that, maybe a week after that, you send that direct message with a question like, hey, what are you struggling on right now, Pedro? Or hey, what do you like the most? Da, 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 da. And to Margaret's point earlier, that's really useful. Like, it doesn't need to be a big thing. It can be one line, one question, and it almost feels quite genuine from having that automated question. Like, and something I've used in the past, which worked pretty well, is even confessing that it's automated. Like saying, hey, this might be an automated message, but I'm a real person on the other end, super eager to hear from you. And that sometimes, believe it or not, actually gets more people to reply because they're like, oh, like, you know, it's a real person. It's actually going to get a read. So all of these things could play into how you're using Zapier. It's really cool.
Yeah. So again, you can set up as a bot, and even for a specific message, like this message can be sent, selection can be sent as a bot, but the next one as yourself. So you don't, like, the whole campaign doesn't need to be just one person, just one bot. You can personalize it like this.
That's cool. Is it, anybody on the call, have you got any more questions for Pedro? Anything else you'd like to rack his brains about?
So just going back here, another one that I mentioned, like this is just a fun one to get notified about specific keywords, because then again, you can trigger different persons to join the discussion. This is a great one, but you, like, depending on the size of your community, you have to worry about that. This is a very niche, just presenting, but yeah, like if somebody comments, I mean, then just add to the channel. And the last one, which was, yeah, this one is great as well.
Have you got any failures you can share? Like, has automation ever gone badly for you, where people got frustrated or it didn't work the way you expected? Have you got any kind of failures you could mention that you've learned over the years?
Yeah, so I created different spaces. So I try to, like, for every new member, let's say Tom, you're the best guy for building communities. And if in the intro space you post like, hey, I'm Tom, I'm a community builder, I try to kind of filter that and add to a channel specific for, let's say, CMOs, CAOs, something like that. I was using for Gumroad, so for designers, for illustrators, for writers. And this kind of flopped because it was too much. I had the onboarding. There's another one that I already sent them for a specific channel, and I was too much. So this was why I mentioned, like, just start with the onboarding and we kind of slowly build your automations, because at some point it can be like too much for the member to deal. But the best one for you to start with is the onboarding one.
Cool.
Also, like some tags that sometimes doesn't work, and another failures I'm thinking here. Oh, which was, yeah, some. What was the email? There, I don't recall precisely which email was that I had. Oh, so yeah, I'm using SSO. So this is a great case. If you use SSO for your community, so singing. Oh, sorry.
Single sign-on, right?
Single sign-on. Sometimes member joined by Facebook, and some tools didn't get like their names, and it just went by hey there, because you can set up like if doesn't find the name, just use there, and or people are just using like crazy names, and they were reaching out, hey, this email wasn't for me, because they didn't even like remember the name that was set up in another tool that has the signal, and got annoyed, like, what is this message? I don't even know what's going on. And I had to reply, hey, this is an onboarding email for the community, don't worry. I just had to let it go, like this type of personalization. So I just use mostly for DMs, because I know that for sure, at least on the community, they will have a name for themselves that is usable. But for emails, I tend to leave it out, or I just put there, hey there, I actually write this, I just leave, hey, welcome to our community, something like that.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to use hey there. I think hey there works pretty well. So we've got approximately 5 minutes left. Anybody on the call, do you have any questions left for Pedro? If not, I've got one more thing I'd like to mention, but I just want to give people a chance to chat if they have any last questions. So feel free to throw it in the box or come on the screen, and if not, I'll follow up with my last question. All right. So Pedro, something a lot of people signing up were also asking about engagement and content. Like you mentioned a few things, DMs are definitely a form of engagement, and in fact, it's quite a personal form of engagement. Have you found any way that automations helped with just general content creation, content sharing? Can Zapier help with any of that, or have you got any thoughts about how Zapier or any automation might help with just general engagement and content?
Sure. One automation that I did for to engaging is go either ways. Like one was for every new post in Twitter, I notify my team members, so everyone in the company can join and like or comment on that post. And another one that's trying to set up here is I would just use circle as well. If you guys want me to use another one, let me know. So watch posts. Or not set up this. Then Facebook. No, wait, back. Facebook. This page is creatables. Yeah. So I can create different posts like in a specific channel where, let's say I have share your wins, then I can auto post case studies from others in my social media. So this is a great use case for we want to promote advocates in our community. So if I filter here, set up a filter, channel equal wins, the space name equals to share wins. There you go. You have the new posts from this channel broadcast to your social media. And you can use some tools like Router. I have to remove this filter. Sorry, link here, add a Router. Instagram for business, same thing. Create a photo post.
Cool.
So this is a phone that I did for a person that wants to do that, like kind of automate more the social media profiles. It can get a bit tricky because like this is a photo post, but if someone posts without a cover, it's not going to use the image. So the best ones are Facebook or LinkedIn to use in this case. But just showing up that you can use most social medias here. All of them kind of have.
And how do you choose between Zapier and Integromat? Like I see you using them both. How do you choose between the two?
They have like 90% are equal, but they have like the 10% of different triggers and actions that I can get most of. So one example that I use Zapier is that, let me create a new one, it's going to be easier. So whenever I'm using for a circle, then I get a new post, count. You can choose the community. And then Zapier let me leave this in blank. So it would trigger for all spaces. Whereas in Integromat, I would have to choose a specific space. So if I have 10 space, I have to set up 10 different automations for each space, depending on what I'm going to do. And Integromat is way easier to create these filters. I'm just going to create a filter here. You guys are going to see like, wait, what is? Make this tab. We're going to go here. Path. This is a path. It's just trickier. Like I would have to set up a path here, and then change here to path B, where in Integromat you can just easily see here. This is our different path that I have. It's so easier.
I do like the UI of Integromat. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's basically at the end of our hour. So thanks so much, Katie and Julie, who are just leaving now as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Pedro. And yeah, thanks for coming by. And there'll be another chat every couple of weeks. So Pedro, it's just us two now. Everyone's left. But thank you. I appreciate that. It was a good presentation, and it taught me a lot. And I know people who